Good morning. Today we're going to look at some more equation examples with rational numbers. We're going to look at the ones that have a coefficient that is a fraction. And remember, a coefficient is that number that is being multiplied by a variable. So I'm going to start with just some one-step equations, and then we're going to get into some two-step and multi-step. So here's our first example, 2/3 x equals 15. Okay, so to take and solve this, I am going to, remember 2/3 is being multiplied by x, so we would have to divide by x. Remember, when we divide by a fraction, we have to do the keep change reciprocal. So to save us a little bit of time, if we have a coefficient that is a fraction, to save some time, instead of having to set it up with division, change it to multiply, we can simply just go ahead and multiply by the reciprocal. So for this one, 2/3 times x, if I multiply by 3/2, okay, I can do the same thing to the other side of the equation, and it kind of saves us a little bit of time. Okay, so 15 times 3 is 45, and then 1 times 2 is 2. So 45 halves, or we can take and simplify that. So 2 can go into 45 22 times and 1/2 left. Okay, let's look at another one. We've got 1/2 times x equals 30. Again, I am multiplying here by 1/2. So I can take and multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, do it to both sides. That's going to leave me with x. And then 30 times 2 is 60 over 1, or just 60. Okay, so it does save us a little bit of time from having to rewrite the entire thing. So I've kind of given you guys a little here. Therefore, when the coefficient is in an equation is a fraction, simply multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, so here's another example. Now this one's a two-step. Okay, so I'm going to have to take and subtract the 15 from both sides first. Okay, which gives me negative 45, and then I have 3/4 x. So now, again, I've got a fraction. I can take and multiply by the reciprocal. I'm going to do it on both sides. Okay, that's going to leave me with x. Okay, 45 times 4 gives me negative 180. I'm just going to write it down here. Over 3, which simplifies to negative 60. So my answer for this would be negative 60. Okay, let's try another one. Now this one's a little bit different because we do have the distributive property. Okay, so that's the only way it's different. If we look at it, our first step would still be to divide by that negative 2/5. So again, because I'm multiplying by that, if I multiply by the reciprocal, it's the same thing as dividing by that negative 2/5. Okay, so I'm going to take and multiply by negative 5/2. See if I can give myself some more room over here. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Oops, did not mean to do my whole problem. Okay, so 22 over 1 times negative 5/2. Okay, that's going to give me negative times a negative is a positive, so 110 over 2. Okay, so right now I have 2x plus 3. So that's going to be simplified to 55. It is a positive because a negative times a negative is a positive. Okay, so now I can simply go go through, this is a two-step and started as a multi-step. So subtract 3 from both sides. That's going to leave me 2x. And then 55 minus 3 gives me 52. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Okay, and that's going to leave me with x equals 26. Okay, these two problems I wanted you guys to do on your own. Okay, you guys can pause the video, do them on your own, and then come back and check your answers. That way you know if you're where you need to be with this concept. Okay, so go ahead and pause it, and then when you come back, I'll be working the problems out. All right, so our first step, we are multiplying again by this 3/8. So to undo that, I'm going to multiply by 8 over 3. Okay, so that's going to give me 48 over 3, which is 16. So I'm left with 4x plus 7 equals 16. My next step is to subtract the 7 from both sides. That leaves me with 4x. And then 16 minus 7 leaves me with 9. Okay, and then my last step is divide by 4, which leaves me with 2 and 1/4. Okay, or 2.25. Okay, so let's try the next one. Okay, so go ahead and draw your line. The first step for this one is to subtract 12 from both sides. It's going to leave me with 24. Okay, the next thing I need to do, this is what I'm multiplying by, so I can multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, which is going to leave me with x, and then 24 times 4 is negative 96 over 3, which simplifies to x equals negative 32. Okay? Okay, so here's our other types of equations, and as you can tell, this one has distributive property, it's got division, and then we're adding. So we kind of just have to look at this and break it down a little. Okay, this 7 over here is not being multiplied or divided by anything. So that's the first thing I have to get rid of. Okay, so I'm going to subtract that 7 from both sides, and that's going to leave me with this big long expression still. Okay. And then 10 minus 7 is 3. All right, so the next thing I have to do is undo the division by multiplying. So I'm going to multiply by negative 4. Okay, which is still going to leave me with an expression, but it's getting a little bit shorter. So negative 3 times 6 plus 2d equals negative 12. And now I'm going to take and divide by negative 3. Okay, that leaves me 6 plus 2d equals, and the negative 12 divided by negative 3 is a positive 4. And at this point, now I just have it as two-step equation, so I'm going to subtract 6. That leaves me 2d. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 2, which leaves me d equals negative 1. Okay? So let's go back to our next example. All right, I'm going to go ahead and draw my line. All right, so the first thing, again, this one's very similar to the last one. I have distributive property, and then I have this where I'm subtracting, so I need to undo that first. So I'm going to add 1 6/10 to both sides. which leaves me with negative 55 on this side. I'm left with 5 times 3f minus 1/2. Okay, my next step would then be to divide by this 5. Okay, that leaves me negative 11. And then 3f minus 1/2. Okay, my next step would then be to, I went up too far, to add this 1/2 to both sides. Okay, so I have negative 11 and I'm adding a 1/2 to it, which leaves me negative 10.5 and 3f on this side. And then I'm going to take and divide both sides by 3, which gives me f equals negative 3.5. Okay, you guys, your assignment today is posted. If you have any questions, I'm available on Zoom or this afternoon, or you can email me. We'll see you later. Have a great day.